Hello everyone. Am I live? Let me just double check myself here. I think I'm live. There it is. Now I can see things. Oh boy, it's Sunday. It's a quiet day. Why is my comments all on the bottom of the screen and very tough to read? What did I do here? Do I gotta pop it out? Try refreshing this. I don't know what I'm doing. Alright. We are gonna have a good... Someone watching me or giving me time already? That ain't needed. We'll be alright. Look at this. I've got my No Mistake shirt. It's a calm Sunday. We've got a canvas up here. I'm recording for YouTube. I promise I'm actually going to upload to thank you guys for subscribing to me recently. We're going to do a nice mellow painting. It's Sunday. Kind of cold out, so I'm down here where it's nice and warm in my studio, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So how about that? Now, why are these comments still way down here? I thought they used to be over on the side, or... There it is. Just had to enlarge my view. So for YouTube, thank you guys all that we are streaming live on Reddit right now on the Artist Studio. Enough preamble. Look at this. I've got my palette ready. White and my two blues, phthalo green, black, dark sienna, Van Dyke brown, crimson, yellow, yellow, and red. Yellow, yellow, ochre, and just a tiny bit of bright red. If you've seen my stream from a couple of days ago, we're going to try to recreate those crazy clouds that I did. This time about a third of much paint because I just really wasted a whole big blob for one tiny bit. So, I got my canvas here. I am very excited. A lot of times I use the very basic canvas that you'd get at your local hobby store. You know, you can get like 10 of them for 10 bucks. However cheap it is, whenever the coupons work out. Well, today I've got the official fancy canvas. This is the Bob Russ brand canvas. It's much more durable, it's heavier, it's got more of a tooth to it, and it's awesome. So I'm really excited to paint this one today. What am I doing? Well, one thing I haven't done here is this is your tip of the day here. Don't just leave piles of paint like that. Chances are you hold the easel up like that, or I'm sorry, you hold the palette up like that, and the paint can actually start to slide. So I like to lock it down a little bit. What we call locking it down here in the biz. So just by gently grabbing a bit and flattening it out, keeps the Prussian blue off your shoe. Keeps the red off your kids. That's the only two rhymes I can think of. So, just a little bit here and there. And now we can actually put color on the canvas. So what were we doing here? We're going to do a little bit of phthalo blue and crimson. And I'm just going to mix these right on the brush. I'm feeling dangerous. Anyone gonna comment yet? No, maybe a little bit of Prussian blue. A little bit more blue. We want this to the blue side of purple. And then we just give it a test. Ooh, I kind of like that. Maybe a little bit more crimson now. So we're gonna put in a little bit of a lavendery look to it. It's got some blue mixed in there, just however I mixed it on the brush. If I get in here and grab a little bit of the crimson, there we go. We can kind of make our own color. A little bit more intense than the last time I did this painting. A little bit brighter, deeper, I guess I should say. And right there is basically done. So I'm just going over it, crisscross strokes, little simple crisscross, little X's, and sort of getting a blend going here. Take out some of the harsh brush strokes, just letting that paint mix with the liquid white. Maybe if you want to add a little bit of crimson, let's put a little over here. Let's see what happens. Let's clean our brush. Hey, what's up, Span Man? And we got Span Man's. Oh wait, this is. I swear they look different for some reason. Gonna do some crazy clouds. Some shadowy clouds. Instead of like rain clouds, we're gonna do some other shadows with different colors. I watched this episode of The Joy of Painting and fell in love with those clouds that he did. I'm going to do a little bit different composition than he did, I think. Oh, I'm going to keep the clouds. I had so much fun, I'm going to do it again. And the last time we did a winter scene, maybe we can switch it up and do maybe a fall scene, I don't know. But with a clean dry brush, you just lightly go over it and watch it all just sort of melt away. Everything gets soft, no brush strokes, barely touching it, barely touching it. The more you work it and the harder you hit it, you're going to actually start pulling paint back off, and we don't want to do that. We just want to blend what's there. And there we go. It's an interesting little purpley sky. And so, we're going to do something here. The whole idea, the whole point of this painting is the clouds. So, I'm going to use the same brush I used before. Part of this method here, the Bob Ross method anyways, is how much paint you put on the brush. You know, it's half the method right there. How much paint you put on the brush, how you do it, how you get it on there, and then how to apply it. So look at that, it's just a ton of paint. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to grab a little bit of the yellow ochre. There we go, a little bit of yellow ochre. And then a touch of the bright red. And the bright red just sort of dulls it down. Look at that, just a tiny, tiny bit. Don't need much. Finding the right hue here. Okay, I'm going to come up here with this sort of, it's like a peachy color, and I'm just going to stir in some color right in these little areas here. Don't need a bunch. Just sort of scrubbing it, little circles, no big deal. No big deal. These little lighter areas I sort of left open, it's almost like I had a plan. This is Bob's plan for you. He knows exactly what he's doing down to the second here. Where me, I'm just sort of taking it a little looser. I got more time than he does. He only had 26, 27 minutes. Me, well, we got 45, and just for one video. This is a palette. What palette do I use? Yes, this is the Bob Ross palette. It's huge. It's not huge enough though. I could stand it being a little bit bigger. I'm kind of a tall fella, so long albatross arms, so I could use a bigger palette, but it's pretty darn big. And I'm just going to dance a little bit more in here, no big deal. And let's go ahead and clean the brush. So you can find the Bob Ross palette at, bobross.com, of course, or various other hobby shops and online locations. Clean, dry brush, and just with the top corner of the brush, I'm just going to stir that cloud up, leaving just a hint of that color, just stirring it in. It's going to get a little bit lighter because of the liquid white down there. Just want to blend it out a little bit. Just make the edges a little softer. That's it. Don't have to get too crazy with it. Probably don't even have to do it at all, now that I think about it. As long as you scrub it in good enough, you don't really need to do that blending step. It certainly doesn't hurt. Same old 1-inch brush. And this time, let me get that peachy color out of there. Now you see that? Still wasted a bunch, but I think we'll try to use it if we're not doing a winter painting. We'll get some more use out of this paint. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I might even need more white, and really load it up once again. Lots of paint. I can already tell I'm going to need a lot more titanium white on my palette. You watch Bob. He used to shoot several shows a day when doing the Joy of Painting, so a lot of times he had on ungodly amounts of paint. Only put on what you think you're going to use. Okay? Wow, lots and lots of paint. And just slightly above here, I'm going to stir in some highlight here. Okay? Not worrying about it too much. Almost like I'm putting a little white wig on these on these things here. But you need a lot of paint. You need a lot of paint here. If it starts getting light, you just dip right in there and grab it and just start throwing some circles in there. Look at this. I gotta stop being so exact too. So you try to draw clouds on here, it's just not going to work, you know? You got to just throw them on here. Maybe down here, there's another little section. But having that thick white paint is only the beginning here. We just got to blend it down here shortly. The idea is these orange bits are going to show up as shadows. There we go. Woo, I went crazy with the white, didn't I? Let's get slightly crazier. There we go. Now, what we want to do is blend down, but we don't want to break this top edge. So just with this top corner of the brush, leave the top edge alone. And then just stir this down. And what I'm doing is I'm stirring and moving down so it gets into that peachy color. Gets into the peachy color. Just knocking the cloud back a little and then blending down into the shadow. And you can do this with a bunch of different colors. Yeah, Madge. What that means is that I went down to the Bob Ross Workshop and Gallery in Florida, where there is a certification course in the Bob Ross landscape, flower, or wildlife method. And of course I just did the landscape so far. And at the end of the course, you're considered a certified instructor. And what that means is that you're allowed to teach and advertise classes under the Bob Ross name. And you're a bit more of an ambassador for the company. And you get to go around and teach people the joy of painting. There we go. Now you see here, just as I stir this out, the softer you get it, a nice little transition into the sky, gives the cloud that dimension. Now, knock the excess paint off my brush. Don't need to get too crazy with it, because the next step is doing the very, very light fluff. I'm just barely touching these clouds and creating a little effect here, sitting those big hunks of paint down into the canvas. You might draw up a little wisp of cloud here or there, but because the paint is so thick, it's not going to streak out of control. And very lightly, I like to go over it horizontally, barely, barely touching. Barely touching. You get those wisps that come off a little too far, you can just bring them back. Interesting clouds this time. And the thing is, you don't need to keep going back and stirring and trying to fix something. You know, if it's nice and random, that's exactly how the cloud wanted to look that day. So you just let it ride. Okay, just need to do a wee bit of cleanup here off camera. I'm almost making a mess. Nope, well, now I made a mess. So, I think today we're going to do a mountain like I did the other day. Well, you got that right, Night Sun. You got that right. Just a pale imitation. I think someone, some little, I don't know if they were little. I'm assuming they were little because I'm tall. But someone made a crack like that, like I was a pretender or something. I'm not trying to pretend to be Bob. I'm just keeping his dream alive. And there we go. That's what it needed. Right there. Now I'm done. So let's go ahead and let's get a mountain going here. We do our mountain basically, a simple Bob Ross mountain is a background color, a highlight, and a shadow. So we got to make our background color. And we're going to make that with, there's a little bit too much white in that. I just got to get rid of it. So let's go ahead and let's grab all of our crimson, all of that phthalo blue, maybe a little bit of the Prussian blue, some of the black, hunk of this brown. That brown got a little bit of oil coming off there. So all the dark colors, the blue and the black, mix with the crimson, and they'll make a very deep purple, and then the brown tones everything down. And let's see what we got here. There we go. It's starting to get darker. Maybe a little bit more blue, a little bit more black. I want to get this really, really dark. So I thought today, since I just did these clouds in a painting a couple days ago, maybe I'll make the mountain a little bit different here. And what we're going to do is I pull this paint down nice and flat, kind of like a runway, and then I drag the knife across, and I get that nice little roll of paint. This is, Bob's getting bald. For quite a while, you're right, so that's why I had to grow this for 2020. What kind of paint? Well, we are using the Bob Ross brand paint. I'm a Bob Ross instructor. The tools and supplies I use are Bob Ross, so you can get those again, lots of different places. Let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to do here. I say we got a mountain up here. All I want to do is touch and really just push this paint into the fabric, and then I scrape off the excess. Because we got a cloud here, a lot of it's going to come out light. That's okay. We're just getting a general shape here. Maybe there's something off over here. I don't know. What this is going to be an interesting mountain. We can get it dark just by pushing some darker color right back into the canvas and then scraping it off again. Oh, a little bit excess paint there. So the idea here is we're just creating a general shape, an outline here. Okay, if we can just keep a nice sharp outline, we don't really care what's going on inside right now. We just want to get, I don't know, this one might be a little bit more of a vertical mountain. I don't know. We can decide and we can change things up. Something like that. And I think what I'll do, get another 1-inch brush here that's not full of color. And we'll do a little bit of a blend, but let me just go ahead and push that color in. Make sure I scrape the majority of it off. And then if I want to, like I was telling you, I can take that dark color and smear it back in just to tone it down a little bit. But I am scraping that excess paint right back off. And it just should leave it a little bit darker than it did before. Alright. Now, using my brush, I come over here and I find that edge. I find that right edge. Touch, press, and then just pull out. And that paint mixing with the liquid white allows you to just drag this mountain out, takes off that excess color, and allows you to start laying out just the idea of what this mountain's going to look like. I think it's going to have some vertical faces over here, and maybe some slopes faces in front. But as you pull this out, just think, the stuff going to the right, that's going to be your highlight. The stuff going to the left is going to be your shadow. And just about every peak is going to have a highlight and a shadow for it to look effective. Okay? So, what we got over here, I don't know what this is, but you can bring this out and you can play back and forth with it just to give you an idea. Let's go ahead. Before I begin here, I'm going to mix up a little bit of a shadow color. Add a little bit of yellow in there, that's okay. And let's just mix in some of our Prussian blue and phthalo blue. There we go. Almost 80s, nice to see you in there. Hello, hello, pizza lover and cheap nugget. It feels a little bit difficult the first time you do it, but like with anything, the more you practice, the better you get. I'm always looking at my first painting I ever did about 5 years ago in the Bob Ross method. I look at it all the time when I'm painting to show you how far you can come. Now, if we got a little time at the end here, I'll show you my first painting. I've shown it plenty of times on here. If we've got time, I'll grab it and I'll show you the difference. And what we want to do is we want to take that white and pull it out flat, like a piece of paper thin. Okay? And touch, pull, and slice away, and we get that nice little roll of paint. So, the idea with mountains here is we just want to touch, rotate the knife, and just allow that paint to come off where it wants to come off. We're not forcing it. Like Bob always said, no pressure. I'm not pushing the paint on like we did with the knife. We're just grazing it off. Let it graze and let this mountain pull off the color. See, I can feel that paint sticking, and then I just let gravity do the work. Having a firm, dry color plus a decent canvas, believe me, it makes a difference. There we go. And I think we're going to have a little right here, but I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with it yet, so we'll just keep our eye on that. Now, we got this shadow color here. I tell you what, I want to make this just a wee bit darker. See? Don't even have to mix it that well. As long as it's got that nice blue streaks and hues in there, you're in business. Well, thanks, Sarcasm, Spelunker. Ember, nice to see you, and Twinkle. Titanium. Well, we're going to get right back into a little bit more of the titanium white. You got that right. But we're going to get a little bit of this blue. Very small amount. Now, I'm going to say there is going to be a little bit of a shadow here, but once again, I'm just barely touching it. Kind of doing a little bit. It's a different motion here because I'm right-handed going to the left, so it's a little bit scrapier. But again, I'm just barely touching it. You know what? A little bit more blue, a little bit more black. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try something. Definitely darker, right? So let us, ooh, what am I doing? Here we go. I've got a small knife here, and I'm going to get a little bit of this dark color. And for this back here, I think it's going to be deep and deep shadows. So pull and just pull down, letting it come almost straight down like that. And over here, coming off here, I think there might be a little bit more light, so that shadow might be a little bit lighter, and it kind of comes across like that. What you want to keep in mind here is that every peak gets a highlight and a shadow. And then when you pull through, it pushes that other part back. I think that worked out fairly well. I'm kind of happy with that. And oh, we forgot about this guy here. Just a small amount. We want to see some of that background color. Okay. Can even sort of sneak a little bit of shadow into this bit here. Anywhere where there's the little breaks and holes, just drop a little bit of shadow in there. And you can play around with this forever and ever here, so we'll try to avoid that. Now I want to come back to the titanium white, pull it down paper thin. Well, you can always watch it later, Peace. You can always watch it later. School's impotent. Raynard, was that your name? Rain in red. Rain in red, like rain in blood. All right, now watch this. This is the trick here. Oh, I got an idea here. Let me just nip off a little bit there. All right, here we go. We're gonna push this mountain back, touch with the big blade here, and just gonna pull right on through. Feel that paint stick. Make noises. Whistling helps. Yeah. I'm actually not entirely upset. There it is. That helps. Maybe a little bit of a mix in there. Alright. Well, maybe I can do this, maybe I can't. What I want to do is I want to create the illusion of fog and mist at the base of the mountain. So I just tap, I'll let that paint mix with that liquid white as our primer, so to speak. Look at that. Just tap a little bit, sweep back, following the angles. Oh, and I want to bring this one in front of, if I can. There we go. Never did put any, I always forget to put the water in. Look at that, it just blends away. You get a little bit extra down there, it just blends away. But following the angle here, we create a little misty layer. And you know, if you went a little too crazy with it, you can come back and just drop it back in again. I kind of liked how I was seeing it there. I thought I took out a little too much. Strengthen it right back. Look at that, maybe those two meet up. Thanks, spiraling distortion. Beat the devil out of it. There we go. And just going to mist down this bit here. Not too much that time. I misted a little too much before that. Made everything kind of disappear. There we go. We want to keep a little bit. Alright, so that is basically how you do an interesting mountain, a little bit different than I've done before, but you can do this. All right, let's get something. I don't know. Let me try this. A little bit of phthalo green and cad yellow. Look at that, just mixing it on the brush. Someone asked if this is hard to master. Can you tap? Because that's basically 90% of the job here. Tapping. Look at that, we mixed up a beautiful little color here. And let's just say that there's a little bit of grass growing up on here. Now this area here, this little bit of white and very light lavender, don't kill it all. Don't kill it. Something like that. I'm going to come back here. I think I'm going to come back with a clean 2-inch brush. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I'm going to tap it a little bit just to soften it, I think. Something tells me it needs to be softened. Don't want a lot of detail, and I think that was starting to get kind of like grassy detail. This is a long ways away. Now, of course, you can't have a Bob Ross painting without some sap green in there. A little bit of sap green. Let's just mix that right in there. As things get closer to us, they get darker in value. So we're going to go ahead and drop in a little bit of greenery. Tell you what, maybe even a little bit of yellow ochre in there. Oh, I think I just defined the foreground a little bit. Kind of interesting. Not sure what I'm doing. All of a sudden this starts to become an actual painting, doesn't it? I think we're going to need just a wee bit of a shadowy color in here. Ooh, starting to get a little rough, a little crazy going on here. I am in completely uncharted territory. Okay, let's just soften it a little bit. I think what we're going to do, we're going to mix up a little bit of a dark shadowy color. We want to put some trees and stuff in here, right? Do I need a pop? Yeah, you heard me knocking that thing. Here's my pop from yesterday that I never drank. If I do a second stream here, I'll definitely oh my god, it looks like I am doing a second painting. I already have a ton of time left, 45 minutes plus. Got 6,000 people. Hello, welcome everyone. I did a little bit of adjusting with my studio backdrop, and I sort of redefined some of my socials right here. Paint with Ted on Twitch, I'm Ted Sim on Instagram. Of course, I'm just user Ted Sim on here, and my website, naturesbrushstudio.com. Boy, I bet you can't really even see that so well. But I'm going to record, I'm recording this one for YouTube, so you'll be able to see my socials a little bit better on that stream. It's going to be a bigger picture. So I am just going to create some happy little trees. Let's just go ahead and drops this in here. It's a little tree kind of growing out of the prairie. Why not? It's our world. We can do what we want in our world. Bob says so. And it really, all of a sudden, really defines the perspective, right? Then again, this tree could be 100 feet tall or it could be 6 feet tall. We don't know yet because, well, I guess we just haven't gotten that far. We don't have different frames of reference yet. So, let's make this tree a little bit bigger. And all I'm doing is tapping with the corner of the brush, and we're creating these little frowny shapes, branch shapes. As I go down the tree, I let it get bigger and bigger. Look at that one, just kind of covers up right there. Tell you a quick story here. When some fellow CRIs got together and we were doing a painting, everyone was contributing a bit. And of course I make this nice little tree like this, and one of my fellow CRIs who streams on here put this tree right in front of it. He thought it was funny. I just thought he covered my tree. Will I ever forgive him? Maybe. Oh, well, they're just frownies. They're just frowny trees. Yeah, Bill Alexander was great. You got that right. S550 Stang. No, I am Bald Ross. You know, I'm Old Ross. You know, think of all the funny, goofy names. I've heard them. What do you think? I don't know what we're doing here. Should we have some bushes or more trees? I tell you what, I'm gonna put another tree right there while you guys are thinking. What do you want to see? Some more bushes up here, some bigger trees, kind of close everything in. A big leafy tree. Birch trees. We can do birchy birch. This is how I do it, YouTube, when I upload this. I let Reddit decide what I'm going to paint, Bob Ross style. And a little bit of grassy stuff under here, maybe a little bit of a bushy bush, grassy stuff. A stream and a creek. While I let this, I might go ahead and put some water in there. Oh, you guys want to see the birch trees? You guys are awesome. Alright, well, while I'm doing that, or just before I'm going to do that, I'm going to make a little bit more of a forest. Maybe that tree's really far back, or it's a baby tree. Who knows? Who knows? Look at this. Just sort of tapping in. Tapping in. Create a little bit of a bush line right there. Oh, yeah, we got something here. We got something going here. I'm not quite sure what we got yet here, but I'm liking it. So I got all the time in the world, you know? Should we have Bob Trivia? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of little ideas of a tree trunk in here. I got my Van Dyke Brown on the knife, small little roll of paint. Just going to touch a couple of spots. Then I come back with a little bit of the dark sienna. And, oh my god, that's a lot. Dark sienna and white. And just see if I can put a very light hint of trunk highlights. Well, there we go. Another fan brush. Missing in action. I'm just kidding, I found it. So I'm going to need a little bit of the liquid white. Let's highlight this tree with some nice yellowish green. It's a bright day here. You want to dull it down, mix in some red or crimson or the yellow ochre, and you can find your highlight color that you like. I'm going to get a little bit more liquid white. You know, a thin paint sticks to a thick paint. That's our golden rule. High tension power lines. If you need to green it up a little bit, grab some blue, grab some sap green, grab some phthalo green. And let's go ahead and drop in a couple little reflections. And maybe back here, not going to see too much here, just a little topper. Just a little bit of branch work there. And again, I know on this stream you might not be able to see these as readily as when I post them. So definitely check this out somewhere if you want to see a little bit more of the detail of like the highlights and so forth. Okay? We'll try to make this bush super bright. Let me clean my 1-inch brush. Another cabin. You've never seen any animals there first time? Oh, he's put squirrels in there, he's put owls, he's put... got some paint on the brush. He did a swan, or what is it, an egret, for one of his Florida swampy paintings. So he's done it. You gotta search for him, but you can find at least one example of just about every kind of painting you can think of, I guess, landscape-wise. So to do this little bush, I dipped my 1-inch brush into the liquid white, and I'm going to pull in one direction only, and I'm going to thin down some of this yellow color, and I'm going to grab a little bit of the sap green. Oh, you know what? I think I did not have enough paint. I used too much liquid white. If it's looking a little too soupy, you might have used a little too much, and that's not a big deal. Not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. I just get some more of this cad yellow, pull a little bit of it down, and that thick paint sort of mixes in. You start to get a nice, ooh boy, look at that. See all that nice texture in your paint? That's what's living out there in your brush. Lots of paint. And I just want to touch. Just a little bushy thing in there. Maybe one here. Kind of dull. Not thrilled with that one. Maybe that's where the cabin needs to go. So I say, how about a shopping mall? Not a bad idea. So let's take some of this brown here. And I tell you what. Let's use, the round brush. Let me get some of this brown and some of this greenish brown. And let's go ahead and let's build a nice big old tree here. Now this tree, as dark as you make it, is going to look closer and closer to you. So we're not actually trying to do a full leafy tree. This is some background for our birch, I think. Just want to cover up a little bit. There we go. See why I didn't bring my mountain all the way out? Sneaky, sneaky. So there it looks like a background tree, and all of a sudden we got some bushy something's happening in here. Now, let's see. I'm going to take, I don't have a heck of a time cleaning up today. Let's take some of our cad yellow and let's mix a tiny bit of the red into it. Bright red and cad yellow should make a very nice orange. There we go. And with a little bit of liquid white, just to thin stuff down a little. Little bit of liquid white. Just tapping, mixing, tapping, tapping. Let's just go ahead and, ooh, almost forgot. Maybe we got some branches there. Something like that. I don't know. Now I come back here with the orange. I actually got a painting over there. Sorry, I missed out the comments there about the nuclear cloud. I got a painting where I did a nuclear looking cloud. Just very lightly touch. The idea is you need enough paint just on the tips of the bristles. We're kind of doing a stippling technique here. So you just need to just lightly tap and it makes hundreds of leaves all at once. Just make little arcs, little patterns here, not just hitting things at random, but making random patterns, if that helps you. Now that tree's all kind of by itself way off in the back there. You can see some dark green in there. You can see some of the highlights. Now we got this bush up here. I say this bush is going to be a lot closer. So let us clean our brush and we'll mix up a color that looks different from the one that's behind it. A long-necked dinosaur thing. Interesting, interesting. A little bit of bright liquid white here. Let's see if I got any action left in this pile of yellow. Oh, there we go. Something distinctly different from the color that's behind it. Now, let's go ahead and just tap in a little firmer. And you get a little bit heavier deposit of paint. Little tiny arcs. Maybe a little yellow ochre right here. Something like that. Just putting in a little bit of this lay of the land here, trying to figure out what I want to do. Alright, I think eventually we're going to need some more yellow here. Wow. You guys come up with some crazy suggestions. I like it. Let us see here. I tell you what, a little bit of this yellow ochre, just a touch more of the liquid white, touch more of the liquid white into this yellow ochre. I think I need to sparkle this little guy right here. Okay. And I think what we're going to do, I got to clean off a little bit of palette space here. Sorry, I'm reading some of these comments. You guys are highly imaginative. I think it is time to put something in there. Let's go ahead, just while I got it here, I got to try to figure this out. I haven't done one of these in a while. But let's go ahead and have some water down here. Look at that. All of a sudden we got ourselves a painting. What do you think of that? Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me do like 17 paintings today, aren't you guys? Does it say how much time? Because all I get is 45 plus. Alright, so we gotta figure out what's gonna happen down here. I think we're gonna start seeing some interesting things happen. We got some, look at this, all loaded up with green. But look what happens when I push on it. See, when I just mash this brush up, look at it, you got the green and then you got a little bit of the white tips in there, a little bit of liquid white, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of green. Kind of mash that all together and let's see what happens. So as we're going to come down here, let's go ahead and let's have something dynamic start to happen here. We start to see a little bit more detail. Just try not to go over the same bit too many times or you'll start to make mud. Those are the little tips and tricks that you pick up as you do painting after painting after painting. It's all about how much paint is in your brush and how you strike it onto the canvas. So with the tiniest bit of the liquid white, let's go ahead and let me get some paint right up on the tips of the bristles, a little bit brighter. Let's see if we can't sparkle just a little bit back here. Just sort of brighten that little bit up. And as I come forward, that's where the grassy grass starts coming in. But back here, just want to add a couple little spots. It's nice and bright where the sun is striking it. Adds a little bit of interest there. Mix up the colors a little bit. Down here, it's going to be a little bit more into shadow. I'm allowing it to pick up a little bit of that dark stuff there. So it's a little bit darker until it goes behind the trees there. Okay? So, we got to figure out what kind of water we got going on. A stream or just a lazy, it could be make the lake with ice on it. I was thinking we were going to make it a little bit more of some moving water, but what do you guys think? Should I mess around with the water some, or is it cabin time? I keep looking off camera. I keep forgetting I got two cameras. I am so sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm staring at my YouTube camera and I forgot my Reddit camera. So is it a cabin time or play around with the water? Okay, it's cabin time. Alright, let me clear out a nice area to work with here. Maybe I can do a better cabin than I did a couple days ago. There's always that possibility anyway. We can always hope. I think I'm going to need some more brown. We're definitely going to need some more brown. Let us find our brown. That is black. This is brown. So let me see what we got. Okay, I tell you what, Gay, Pennywise, and Toast and Jam. If I show you a cabin with a dragon on it, do you promise to buy it? There you go. I will show you a Bob Ross cabin with a dinosaur snake dragon on it, but you've got to promise to buy it. Let's put your money where your commission is. Now the chat goes silent. I'm just sort of mixing this brown into itself here. It had a little bit of oil on it while I await my money. Alright, here we go. You're going to see it. Here is a Bob Ross painting that I did on a stream that my daughter took, and she put the purple dragon on it. And it's got some paint stains on it. And it's painting from like two years ago. So there we go. I accept PayPal, credit card over the phone. I guess I gotta have you call me, right? Then forget it. Stethoscoposaurus? Alright. So yeah, my daughter took a few of my older paintings and put dragons and stuff on there. Yo, how much? $100. My daughter, she gets 50, so I'm not going to charge you that much. I told her if I sell any painting with a dragon on it, she gets half. So feel free. Forgive me here. I got to scrape off my cabin. I'll shave your beard for 50. All right, sold. Only half though. Only the right. We got to scrape off some of this excess paint. That makes it a little easier for us to put the cabin in. So I'm going to line this up a little bit. I don't know what size cabin we're going for here. If I make a small cabin, everything looks a little bigger. So maybe we'll just see if we can't make a small cabin. Okay. Might be a little hard to see, but I'm just scraping off a roof, the front of the cabin and the side. Kind of make it a little bit bigger. And then we just do our cabinectomy and shrink it to fit. Okay, so like I said, we're making a basic box. Take it easy, Jotaro. Very recursive. I don't know what was going on. So feel free to DM me or something if you're serious, and I know you're probably not serious. So let's go ahead and lay out our cabin with a little bit of brown, just laid right out, just like we're going to put snow on the mountain. But this time, we are going to give it a little bit of pressure. One little stroke. This works out best if you don't fiddle with it. You know, you just find your line. Let me get this little eave here. You find your line and then just go for it. And you can use the big knife, you can use the small knife, it don't matter. But what we're trying to do is get our roof, our eave, and then our front and back of the cabin. It's really just four little pulls, ideally. Of course, I tend to mess with it. So while we're thinking here, oh yeah, I got tons of paints for sale, tons of paintings for sale. Thank you for speaking up for me. My crew of followers here help me out. Well, thank you. Well, this one here, like I said, it's got some paint stains on it, and it's an older painting. The more I paint, the higher my prices get. The newer ones are better, just from the more experience. But, you know, I'll take more. All right, we got to figure out here. You guys got to tell me what color we're going to use for our roof. Put a little bit of the shadow color on there. playing around and just getting that just right can be an exercise in futility. That's why I'm not going to mess with it. It looks good from 4 foot away. A lot better than it does from 6 inches away. Brontosaurus. How much paint on the knife to paint the cabin? Well, you need a decent roll of paint. That's a great question. Very on topic. You know, I got a roll of paint that's pretty decent because we're actually putting some pressure and slathering down, you know, like not a 1/4 of an inch or anything, but you know, enough to cover it. But if there's gaps in there, that's okay too. I'm going to take some of that paint that I had before here for the highlight of the tree trunk. So I'm going to throw a little bit more of the dark sienna into it. Not much. We got this nice marbly look here. And I'm just going to touch and pull down on both sides. And it makes this little bit of a marbly look to it that's going to look like old boards. Okay? The more you mess with it, the more it mixes with the brown. You're showing the YouTube camera again. I'm sorry, my friends. Watch this, a little tiny bit of white in here. If I want to sparkle it up a little bit, you just graze a little bit of white. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the brown and mix it in with that highlighted color. Just get it darker, okay? And we're going to highlight this backside with just a small amount, just like we do the snow on the mountain. Just a very light pull there. And I can actually take this knife, just make a couple of lines, make it look like little boards separating it out. Now for the roof, did anyone say what kind of roof we wanted? Maybe a little bit of the bright red. It had some old shingles on it at one point. So we got a little bit of the bright red, some of the dark sienna. There we go. Some of the titanium white. Small amount of color here. I just want to touch, just little tappers. Whatever comes off. Tap, 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 tap. There we go. You know what? I'm going to clean that up. Throw a little bit of dark. Oh, that turned out pretty good. Now, to highlight the last little bit here, we need a little bit of the liquid white, a little bit of the titanium white, and I just sort of stir those two together and get a tiny, like a fishing line, roll of paint. And just put it right out there on the end of that eave. Sorry, I got to try that a little bit more. Hold my breath. Oh, there we go. Good enough. Now we need gotta have our little door. And I'm going to take that little bit of liquid white and I just want to outline that door a little bit. Just sort of cut right through the paint. And let's go ahead and get fancy here. Maybe there's a window right back there. Can barely see it with the dark here, but if I take my liquid white and just scratch right through it. Little window back there. Now we can do our cabinectomy. Find our angle. Big roof. Did I cut off too much? Uh-oh. Maybe we got our... Oh, not quite yet. put the fishing man there and take my 200. What I'm going to do now is load up some of this highlight color, and we clean up the bottom of this just by throwing a little bit of grassy grass in there. Over here, I think we're going to do something else. Let me clean my fan brush. I don't know, too many Land Before Time watchers here. They just gotta have their dinosaur. A little bit of that purple, but mostly black and brown. Black and brown. Brown and black. Loading up this fan brush full of color. And... oh, where should it be? I failed the bravery test. Where do you guys want the birch tree? On the right side or the left side? Birch tree, right side or the left side? I'll give you guys a half a minute. Left, left, right. Right, right, left. Right, center. Okay, it's dead even now. I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of the right, so right on through my evergreen tree too. Little foot right there. Alright, so now what we're going to do is once again clean up my mess. We need to have some white out there so we can make birch bark, and we're going to do this pulling this out paper thin, just as we did for the mountain. And we're going to load the knife just like how we did the mountain. But this time we're gonna try to make the birch bark look like that it's circular, right? Those birch barks are just like giant cylinders, you know? So what I'm doing is I'm touching here on the right side, and I'm just letting the paint break while making a little hook. Okay, a little bit more paint, and we just want to touch and touch just on the right side, pulling towards the middle. Let's go ahead and do the other side. It's actually easier the bigger you make the tree. Touch, 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 touch. He goes right on off. After you do the right side, you got to go fancy. You got to go fancy. Turn the brush upside down, forgive me here, and touch on the left side and just sort of pull it towards the center the other way. And don't worry about covering up every bit. You want some of that brown to show. So just work your way up. Again, bigger trees load a little bit more paint. And there we go. So now we get to do my quote-unquote favorite part, which is putting the branches on. I struggle with branches just like everyone else, so gotta practice them. And the branches, you just want to touch and move the brush constantly. Don't really want to pause too long, because then it looks like you're trying to draw them on, and it never goes well like that. At least it doesn't for me. I just bring my trees up, put a couple little spikes coming off these branches, and try to move on. Try to move on before I mess things up. And generally at the top, they're going to be a little bit smaller type branches. As you come down, you can make them a little bit longer. And the hardest ones, of course, for me are the ones where you're going to see the branches the whole time. If you don't like it, you can always put the leaves on there, you know? And I think that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. I'm going to get some of this dark, leafy, dark, shadowy color here. I'm just tapping my 1-inch brush, and I'm just going to tap in, just once again, random little sections here. Some over the clouds, some over the center of the trunk to be sure. You want to make sure you get some around on both sides and even on top of the trunk. That's what gives it the realism. There we go. Just a little bit of shadow leaves here, and I tell you what, I'm just going to go right into this green, sap green color. It's very dark. Tap a little bit of the cad yellow till you find the contrast that you like. A little bit more. A little brighter. Need it a little brighter. Let's see how this goes. There we go. Tap a little bit on top of those. I mean, slightly above, not like literally focusing on tapping on the dark paint. You know what I mean? Just getting a little bit of color out there. Ooh, that one looked good. A little bit of highlights on these shadows. There we go. Kind of like that one. And we've got birch trees. And then down here, we got, there we go. Get some color on here, maybe a little bit of white, a little brown, a little red, maybe a little bit of pink. Right on down. Nice little bushy things right at the bottom there. Kind of hides the roots a little bit. So what do we got? Oh man, I'm so sorry if I'm missing 1,000 comments. We're at 72 minutes done. I still got 45 minutes to go. Oh wait, I must have dropped off the front page. It went from 6,000 down to 300. Nature's Brush Studio. Nature's Brush Studio. Website is my YouTube. That's my Facebook. You can find all that good stuff. Even got a little bit of color in that one. A little bit of dark sienna or something. Kind of like it. So we got to do something with this river. I would imagine that this nice little lazy river, maybe it gets a little wild in springtime, right? All the runoff and stuff. So yeah, maybe we got to have a little bit rough water, maybe some rocks, I think. But I think here to get that illusion of erosion, we need to do a little bit of knife work. So let me get a little bit of my brown right here on the knife. And I'm just going to, I'm just going to play around here. I'm going to see what I got. Just got to have a little bit of a transition, right? Transition between the grass and the water. Well, that was a heck of a delay, wasn't it? A little bit of dirt is basically what we're looking for here. And I'm just scrubbing this in. I'm just touching it with the knife and literally just rubbing. And it's going to fill in the gaps where I need them to fill in here. Just our background. Okay. Now what we'll do, very similar to what we've been doing, is we're going to take a little bit of the dark sienna, a little bit of this titanium white, small roll of paint, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it drift off here. Don't really know what's going on. Just covering some of this up. Maybe this comes down that way. Something. And we're just playing around. There's more to it than that. If you don't think it's done yet, let me just clean off a little spot to work. Little bit of the liquid white, little bit of titanium white. Just rubbing that in there. You might get a little bit of color mixed in with it too, and that's not a problem. Boy, my gosh, you guys with the dinosaurs. Still, believe it or not. Add a path from the water to the cabin. That's a great idea. Great idea. In fact, let's just go ahead and throw that in there right now. Something like that. Could even be a little bit darker. Just throw a little bit darker paint on there. And then I grab a little bit of the liquid white. There we go. There's a little path. And when we have a little path like that, we got to sit that path down. So I'm going to punch in a little bit of grass around the side there. Little bit of grass right over the edge of the path. That pushes the path down. There we go. I think that something tells me there's a little bit of a little bushy thing right there and right there. And a little bit of the bright color. Put a little highlight on that little bushy thing. There we go. There's something, it's an overgrown cabin, isn't it? There we go. Perfect. Nice and overgrown now. If you really want to force it, you can just lift up a couple of these little guys. Oh my goodness. Alright, so now I got my liquid white, my titanium white. I'm going to grab a little bit of this color. I'm just going to rub in, let that paint squirt right out of the edge there. A little bit of waterline here and there, just where the water kind of strikes and moves on. Just a little bit of water. what I want to try to do. This has been a long time since I've done this. Let's give it a shot. That's what I'm here for, bravery tests, right? Small amount of the titanium white, and I'm just going to scrape in, just sort of, something's going to happen here. I'm not used to this angle of where the water's going to be, because it's like flowing this way. It's a little bit different for me, so let's give it a shot. I'm going to take a mostly clean fan brush here, just sort of brush off the back side of these ripples, pulling them in the direction that the water is coming from. So I pull this way. That leaves the leading edge there to make it look like little rocks are up under there, and we don't know. We're going to put some rocks in there right now. So, to put rocks in there, a log on the shoreline. Now you're making reasonable suggestions. To my talent, a log, yes. Brachiopachycephalosaurus, maybe not. But I still appreciate you guys for coming out here and sticking with me while I finish this guy up. And there is going to be a lot of touch-ups. And having all this little time here, I can put some more touch-ups down here, covering the land a little bit more. And you can play around with this all day long, you know, come back to it the next day. But I'm not one for that much perfectionism. A little grass coming right down to the water. So let's see here. Let's do some rocks. What brush haven't I used yet today? I've got almost every brush out here now. I think it's going to be filbert brush time. Got the old filbert. And we got our brown, and we got some white, and dark sienna. We got everything right here. So let us take some more liquid white, titanium white. Let's stir up a big old pile here. All this white, probably not enough. Let's get a little bit more of the liquid white. And all this soupy stuff we had before. There we go. Now, to make river rocks, these are the kind of rocks that are, you know, been sitting around forever and all eroded down to nice round rocks or stones. So I load both sides of the brush with the dark color. See that? Both sides. And then I take the brush and pull it right on through the light. So I've got a light side and a dark side and a light side. And the idea is it's just a one stroke. You hit it and it makes the highlights and the shadows at the same time. So, where should I begin? Let's go ahead and just do one. Let's just say there's a big one right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 rocks right off the bat. And we can just wipe off the light stuff, go back into our dark color, reload the brush, and we can make some stones over here. Maybe a big old one right there. Something like that. And load it up one more time, and maybe I'll have a stone right out there. And he's got a buddy right there. And he's got a buddy right there. And one right there. Alright, let's see what we got. Let's see how badly I messed up. Thanks, Lud. I agree. Ox converged. Did I miss something here? I gotta scroll back. Thanks, Toast and Jam. Appreciate it. So with the, yeah, didn't it make all the difference? Just pulling that back, you should see when I do a seascape. That makes all the difference. Really helps figure out what's what. So what I'm going to do is I might just see if I can't pull down just a tiny bit here and there. Again, sorry if you can't quite see this. And then I'm going to pull across and hopefully make it look like a little bit of a submerged action here, a little reflection. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with my mostly white here. Where is it? And we got to add a little bit of a water line between the rock and whatever reflection I put in. And it's going to help set that rock into the painting a little. I think that's going to be a little bit rougher area there. All those rocks and the water flowing. Oh, but I got another surprise for you. Get a little bit of the liquid white, a little bit of the titanium white, a little bit of that shadow blue color. You can also put in water features just by sort of scratching them in with the fan brush. You don't need to use the knife. The fan brush works great too. Now this water here, we don't really, this is more for still water, this water line, so I can just sort of scratch and rub and put in all these little thingies here. And I think, if I thin this down just enough, plenty of paint on the brush, thin paint. I say maybe there's a little bit of a crasher over, a little bit of a fall here. Touch and just pull over. Touch, pull over. And at the bottom will be little splashes. Telling you, making the noises. Definite help. Oh, not thin enough. If it's not coming off your brush, you probably don't have enough paint on it. And then splashes. And then rub them splashes out. There we go. We got a little bit of a effect there. Some splashing, some layers now. I think if I was to think about it, get a rock. We'll make this rock here a little bit bigger so it looks like this this little thing here is changing levels, changing height as we go down the painting. Lots of splashes and little things going on over here. Splash. There we go. I think we need one more, right? Right there. There we go. Just a couple little splashes here and there. There we go. Got lots of things happening. It is kind of heavy to the right, a little bit different, and painting sideways is a little rough sometimes. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Take a half a step back and let's see what we got. Yeah, not too bad. A dock or a fishing dude? I don't know how to do a fishing dude. I'm a landscape painter, not a fishing dude painter. Too perfect, more detritus, dead trees and leaves, etc. Well, that's starting to get, if you could see it up close, there's a lot more of the stuff going on there than meets the eye. But let's see, someone said something, I like that suggestion, maybe a little dead log. A little dead log. And the great thing is about this painting, this style of painting, is you can just keep going. You can just take this as far as you want. Just keep adding things. Adding and adding and adding. Alright, let's go ahead and maybe we got a old log right here. There we go. Something that the old fisherman would sit on. All right. And let's see, a tiniest little bit. There we go. And where'd my liner brush go? There we go. Little tiny highlight over there. There's your fallen log. You guys are silly. I don't draw dinos, I'm sorry. The dino's kind of hiding back there. He's one of the ones that go and he's hiding for now. He'll come out later. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this puppy before I get too much further along. A little bit of sort of that peachy color, I think. I sign my painting very simply, just a little T, just a little S, and the year 20. There we go. What a samurai. How about a samurai? Well, again, it's still showing me having 45 minutes to do a painting. You want me to make a silhouette? I mean, there's only two paintings here that I've seen Bob put a person in. One is one of the ones I dislike painting myself after painting it like 4 times in a week, which was a campfire. Do you remember Campfire? It was all dark black canvas, a lot of red and yellows, made a campfire, and then put a silhouette of the cowboy man in there. Not fun. Timeless Beauty, that's a nice award. Thank you. Oh, that's a cyberpunk reference. I get it. I'm hip. So, what do we want to see? We could do a... I got a black canvas ready here, but I'm not quite sure what we'll do. Maybe maybe we should do a nice little seascape. Simple one? What do you think about that? I do like doing the black canvas ones, but it's just trying to think of which ones to do. Let me show you. As I promised here, this is my very first painting I ever did in 2015. And I mean, it's objectively terrible. Look at that. See? Number one. Not good. But that's what happens when you practice. I could do a nice moonlit night or something like that, and a nice little basic seascape. If you guys want to stick around and watch, give me a half a minute to change the canvas. Oh, yeah, I think we'll do it landscape style. All right, so we got a black canvas here, and this is going to get, I'm going to have to see how this works here, because this gets a little bit shiny. Also, I'm going to talk to you guys for a little bit while I clean some brushes. So I gotta have, oh, I could also always do a Northern Lights Arctic Mountain. But I do need to clean some brushes no matter what. It's, can't really put it off much longer. I think this brush was from the other day. Dark canvas, night sky with an icy landscape and moonlight. I could do that, Dinosaurus. I mean, I gotta put it out to the room here. We got 158 watchers here, so what do you guys want to see? A moonlight seascape or Northern Lights? Oh, of course you would say I should practice dinos. Northern Lights. Well, a lot of people want Northern Lights. I've done these a number of times on my stream. They are fun. Okay, I'm going to give you guys some colors, and you can only pick two. So in the chat, just give me the list of 2 colors, and I just want you to pick 2 from Indian Yellow, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, Alizarin Crimson. Indian Yellow, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, Alizarin Crimson. Oh, you got purple and green. Purple and green work because I can make alizarin crimson and phthalo blue. So yeah, purple works too. I'm going to be watching the chat. I'm still cleaning my brushes. Blue and green, crimson and blue, crimson and yellow. Oh, good Lord. Come on, Golden, that was not fair. Pink and purple or blue and purple? Blue and purple look wonderful. I'm leaning towards the blue and... blue and crimson look nice too. Phthalo green and purple phthalo green and blue. Dinosaur color. Okay, purple and green. Just a couple more brushes. Can you buy canvas with different sheens? Well, yes, absolutely. Different canvases can be different in a bunch of different ways. Canvas is sold by the weight and, of course, the number of coats of gesso on it. See, this is black gesso. So when you coat it, the more times you coat it, the smoother the canvas gets. So this is a student grade. This is a pretty cheap canvas here, and I put an extra coat of black on it. So yeah, it doesn't have much tooth to it anymore. It's pretty smooth, which is actually kind of good because we're going to be pushing some paint big time, and it's going to make it easy to do that, to do the blending for the Northern Lights. Green and purple. Okay, you know what? I've been seeing a lot of green. Most people saying green. So let's go ahead and go with green and purple. I actually did a green and purple one recently. They work out well. They work well. All right, brushes are clean, mostly dry. Got paint all over myself. It's a Sunday. Just for grins here, I'm going to stop my recording and start it again, just so that